Kalamazoo, direct to you. That's my wonderful town.
Good morning, Kalamazoo. Good morning. Now that's what I like to hear. There's a lot of great energy around why we're here this morning. I want to officially welcome you to Douglas Community Association. We are so glad to be hosting this event. We are 90.
Kalamazoo, direct to you. That's my wonderful town.
Very briefly, today's agenda. We'll have some folks kind of lay out how we got here. You'll hear from our Chief of Police. You'll hear from some members of the Kalamazoo Youth Violence Prevention Initiative. And then you'll hear from our special guest from Minnesota, who will be presenting how and the ways in which they use a whole community to deal with the issue of youth violence. I want to thank each of you in this room. I recognize that long before I came on the scene, there was much work that was going on, both in this community and all over the city, to deal with youth violence. I am blessed and privileged to be a part of this collective work, and we thank you and encourage you to continue the work you do. One of the places we can do this work together is at our website for the Youth Violence Prevention Initiative. And that website is www.kyvpi.org, Kalamazoo Youth Violence Prevention Initiative, kyvpi.org. On that website, we ask that if you can, please post your information on the blog, any programs that you might be running currently, and any information, websites, etc. that would be helpful to our collective work. We'll be repeating that website again throughout the day, throughout the morning, so that you can gather more information about the Youth Violence Prevention Initiative. Myself, Bobby Zell, the director of the Boys and Girls Club, and Milton Wells received a call last July when we heard that Hal Turner was coming to town with his supremacist group. You all remember that? I'm sure. And there was a group of concerned citizens who said, we don't want violence in the streets by these supremacist folks who are coming to Kalamazoo claiming to wage war on young black males. The group wanted to have activities for that day, but our collective leadership thought, well, activities for a day is not going to deal with the issue. So we need to be about a long-term, community-wide strategy for how we can deal with violence. And we've been learning, we've been growing, and we've been learning how to work together. And we hope that this work will continue for the community. And by the showing in this room, I think there's great energy to deal with the issue in a way that builds the assets of young people and builds the assets of our community and sends no one to the margins. So thank you for being here this morning. I want to introduce to you Herald for this city. I call him our chief cheerleader, and that's the mayor of the city of Kalamazoo. Please welcome Mr. Bobby Oakley.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We have work to do. Do we? I think we're here to do that work. We know that public safety and the city hosted a conversation that allowed a lot of folks to vent frustration regarding what was going on with our youth on our streets. But we know that's not where the work needs to be done. The work needs to be done in small groups at tables such as you are at today to get around and get at the issues of youth violence and what is going on. I call it more or less youth excellence and success. That's what we're here about. And so today we're going to learn a few things, we're going to have some conversations, and we're going to continue to move this city in the right direction as we deal with our youth. Thank you all for being here today. Chief.
Schafer from Minneapolis PD here to talk about their Youth Violence Prevention Initiative. I went to a conference back in March, and just prior to leaving that conference, I met with Mr. Tarentine, Mr. Ezel, and Pastor Wells, and Commissioner Cooney on this exact concept. And I said, well, look, I'm going out to Washington. I'm interested in one of the speakers that's going to speak there. Maybe I can bring back some information that would be helpful for Kalamazoo. And as I went out there, and I'm listening to Lieutenant Schafer, who, as he was out there, was receiving the Gary P. Hayes Award from the Police Executive Research Forum for this exact initiative. I listened to it. I said, we have everything that he's talking about here in Kalamazoo. We have all the programs, we have all the energy, we have all the passion to make this happen. How can we coordinate it in a better way to make a difference? And so I talked to Bryan while I was out there. Would you be interested in coming to Kalamazoo to show us what you did and your successes that you had in Minneapolis and how we could probably mirror that here in Kalamazoo? He was very gracious enough to accept that invitation. So without further ado, Lieutenant Bryan Schafer, Minneapolis Police Department.
Good morning. I'm going to try and talk this loud. Does everybody hear me in the back?
No.
No? I want to thank the Chief for bringing me in here and for your support. The Chief was exactly correct in saying that you have everything that you need to put this in place. You are already, I will say, eons ahead of where we were in Minneapolis when we started this initiative over 3 years ago. And the reason for me to come in and help bring you a little closer together and have candid, open conversations about what's going on in the community. That is where we found things were most beneficial. I think back about 15 years ago in Minneapolis, and I will tell you, and my new commander will tell you, that you could not sit down in a room with faith-based communities and talk about this issue. You could not sit in a room with the African American community and talk about the problems in their communities. You could not sit down with the school district in a room and talk about the problems in the school and how those problems and the problems in the community are flowing back and forth between our schools. You could not have that conversation. So the time is right. You're here for the right reason. And I am here just to help maybe lay out a little bit of a blueprint for you that we used in Minneapolis. This was not, our juvenile initiative in Minneapolis was not to go out and strictly and solely arrest kids. I will be the first to say that you cannot go out and arrest this problem. You have to strike a balance. And the balance is, folks, you gotta understand that there are some kids that are gonna have to be arrested because we built a system to deal with violent offenders to keep our communities safe. You are going to have that. However, there has to be a strong balance in prevention. And what we're seeing in Minneapolis is that by addressing the first-time offenders and working with the families and working with the schools and addressing those little things, we are having a huge impact on probably a strong 80% of the youth in our community. And the youth that I'm talking about is the African American youth in some of our most problematic neighborhoods in North Minneapolis. So this isn't about a one-size-fits-all. We have communities throughout the city that are getting together and working with their communities. And so, you know, I spoke to a couple people early on here, and one of the big things was, well, we can't all be doing our own little thing in the corner. And that's what I found out when we undertook this initiative, that I saw the same thing, probably in a lot of respects, that Chief Hadley sees, is that we've got great organizations in this community. We've got plenty of ability here to work with kids and to provide prevention, but let's talk from table to table. Does everybody here know what each organization in this city does? And I would say probably no. There's a few of you that work together, but